So as many of you know, I am in my third year of psychology at Royal Holloway, which is part of the Uni of London, and I thought it might be useful to do a review about the university because I noticed on the Royal Holloway Twitter page that a lot of people are tweeting Royal Holloway saying, oh, I think I'm going to put you as like my first choice, or like loved the open day, or so I guess it must be quite near the deadline for putting which uni you want to go to. So when I was looking around universities, I actually visited 13, which is crazy, but it seemed like a really important decision to me, and I wanted to try and really get a feel for each university. I considered a lot of different things about each of them, and even though I thought quite carefully about it, and I don't regret coming to Royal Holloway, there are some things that I found which I wouldn't have necessarily guessed before I got here. So I thought it might be a good idea to give you kind of like a pros and cons of Royal Holloway from someone who's already been here for 2.5 years. And I in no way want to like put you off coming here. It's a great university, and obviously like everyone's experiences of university are different. So this is just from my perspective. It might be completely different from you, but hopefully it might help. Number one, it's got a fairly good reputation, does fairly well on the league tables, obviously check for your subjects and stuff, and league tables don't mean everything, but you know, it's a fairly good university. Number two, it's a campus-based uni, which you probably know already, but you might not realise how nice that can be. I've certainly found anyway that being on a campus is really nice because everything's like contained in one space and nothing's too far away from you. You're never going to be that far away from the uni. Like all the student houses around here are quite near to the uni, so you'll never be that far away and you'll never be that far from your friends. Like part of a community a bit more, I think, and there's quite a lot of green spaces as well, which is really nice. And I suppose if you went to a London uni or any uni in a city, you wouldn't get that so much, but it can be really nice just to, you know, be in a pretty surrounding. And also I'd say probably because it is campus based, it might be less distracting actually than being in a city where there's loads of things to do. But then at the same time, we're only about 40 minutes away from London on the train, so obviously if you do want to go and do things at the weekend or when you haven't got anything on, there are things to do quite nearby, but you haven't got any like immediate distractions. And this is a bit random, but there's quite a good store on our campus. It has quite a lot of different things, like lunches and like a bakery section and like a small amount of like toiletries and stuff like that. So that's quite useful. And then we've got like a Starbucks on campus and and then like various eating places. So there's like enough on campus. It is quite a quiet uni. Now for me that suits me quite nicely because like I do like to go out and have fun, but I don't like to go out that much. And like I think there are plenty of things that you can get involved with if you want to, but at the same time if you're not really into that kind of thing, then there's no like pressure to do that, because that's not, I wouldn't say that Royal Holloway is like where it's all happening like all the time. Like you can kind of choose how much you get involved with things without feeling like you should be doing more. And also I think because it's not in a city, there aren't like loads of nightclubs, and so but there's enough, so if you like going out there is enough for you, but at the same time because that's not like the main part of being here, then there's no pressure on you to go out like every night or at all. This isn't a major problem, I wouldn't have said. A lot of people haven't really heard of Royal Holloway, so it can be a bit annoying when people are like, oh, where do you go? And you're like, Royal Holloway, and they just don't know it. Obviously though, you are part of the Uni of London, so you can put that on your CV and you can tell people that, and it kind of just gives it, you know, everyone sort of knows, they're sort of aware of the Uni of London, so you know that helps. And then also I think Royal Holloway is becoming much more known. Certainly it's better known than when I started. I guess because it's doing quite well in the league tables. And I think the problem with it is it doesn't, the name of it isn't the name of like a city. So obviously you've got like Uni of Birmingham, Uni of Sheffield. So everyone like thinks they've heard of those universities because they've heard of the cities, whereas Royal Holloway isn't referring to a place. So I think that's why it's sort of harder for Royal Holloway, but I think people are starting to have heard of it a lot more. Number 2, the libraries are not great. Like, the libraries themselves are quite nice, but there just isn't enough space for the amount of people that come here. And I mean, some like sometimes it's okay, and you can go in, and there will be plenty of seats, particularly like first thing in the morning. But certainly in term 2, which we're in at the moment, as the weeks go by, the library's just going to get busier and busier. And I've had times when I've gone in and just haven't been able to find a seat, and it gets so bad that they have to have people walk around with clipboards marking like how long people have been away from their desks for, because if they've been away for more than I think 40 minutes, they can like clear their stuff. But it just shows that's how much of a problem it is. But on the positive side, they are building a new library, and I think they're doing it this summer. So I think that's supposed to make a lot of new space, because I'm sure like a few years ago, the library had enough seating for everyone. Well, not everyone, but like it had more than enough seating. I think it's just because the uni is growing so much, and so the population size has just outgrown the size of the library. Okay, number 3, Egham is quite quiet and very like dull, and it's just a small town, so don't expect a lot from it. You do have like the essentials, so like there's a Tesco there. They've just built a new Waitrose that opened yesterday, and because the Tesco is quite small, whereas this Waitrose is quite a bit bigger. So if there are things that you can't find in Tesco, then you can always go to Waitrose. There's an Iceland as well. So like, yeah, it has the things you need. It has all the main banks. It has some hair salons, quite a few charity shops, which you probably wouldn't need. But there's not a lot to it. You can get like day-to-day things, but if you need to go shopping, or you need to buy presents, or maybe you don't even need anything, you just want to go shopping, then there's nothing in Egham. So in which case you have to go to either Staines or Windsor. And Staines, like there is a direct train from Egham. It takes like 5 minutes, but bearing in mind that from the campus it's like a 20-minute walk to the train station, which I know isn't far, but it's not that easy. So obviously compared to a uni that's in the city, it's a disadvantage. And personally, I brought my car to uni, and it's been so useful. I can't even stress how useful it's been. And even to do your shopping in Egham, there's a massive Royal Holloway's on Egham Hill, and it's massive. So unless you're going to pay for a taxi back, which actually isn't that expensive, it's about £7 from Tesco to the campus. So if you're going it with friends, it's not so bad, and there are buses. But if you're walking, it takes time, and it's a really steep hill. So if you do have a car, then I would bring it. Obviously you can't have it in your first year, but when you move out of halls, definitely bring it, because then you can start just going to places a lot more easily. And Windsor's a bit of a pain to get to by public transport, because I think if you take the train you have to change once, and you can take the bus, but it is £6 return, which isn't terrible. But I think the times are a bit funny. I'm not really sure. So obviously having a car at uni just enables you to go out more easily and to go to other places. Number 4, it is quite expensive around here. We do live right near Virginia Water, which I think the average house price there is £1 million. But don't get scared. Egham is nothing like that. But it just shows we are in Surrey, it is the southeast, it is expensive, but we do get the London loan, so compared to someone in London, it's a lot cheaper. So unlike a lot of unis, there's no swimming pool here, But the gym isn't bad, it's not that expensive, and they've just built some new sport pitches. Well, this one isn't really a pro or a con, well, it might just depend on you, but there are quite a lot of international students here. So like the other day in my psychology lecture, our lecturer asked everyone whether they were British or not, and I would say about 30% of us were British and the rest were international. And obviously it's really nice to have a diverse group of people, and it can be really interesting to hear about like different people's cultures, and you know, that's great. But my experience of it is that a lot of the international students here tend to stick with people that speak the same language as them, which is understandable. But it means that, like, I certainly anyway don't have a lot of international friends, and I think it's a bit of a shame in a way. So I will just say that there are a lot of international students, but they do tend to just stick to themselves a lot more. Obviously, this is a huge generalisation, but yeah. And obviously, like with some of them, like their English might not be quite as good, so communication can sometimes be a little bit more challenging. So I hope that this video will be useful for some of you. That's about it from me. I couldn't really think of any other pros or cons that you wouldn't already know and that aren't like really obvious. But it is a great university, and I've really enjoyed my time here. And I mean, I looked at 13 different unis and decided that Royal Holloway was the best one. And you know, I was looking at some fairly good universities. Like I put Royal Holloway in front of Durham and a whole load of other good universities. So obviously I love it, but there are like things that you should consider, and hopefully my video will help you. Feel free to ask me any questions below, and also please like and subscribe. Bye!